Hey, good morning, guys. What's going on? Once again, it is I, the chairman, back with another physical media update and review. And just wanted to go over some recent items that I have received. And so I may have mentioned this in my previous video, but I did get the Mortal Engines, which came recommended from Films at Home as being an exemplary example. Example. That's kind of a double speak. As being a very good example of modern HDR and 4K presentation. And after playing it, I do have to say that it is very good looking. I've only watched a few minutes of it, but the beginning scene, um, especially since it's so CGI heavy, still looks really good in 4K. This is a wingnut production, pretty much a Peter Jackson, Philippa Boyens, Fran Walsh written, and Kristen Rivers directed film. It's pretty much a wingnut production from top to bottom. I'm sure Weta Digital did the CGI. You got Dan Hanna doing the production design. He worked on set design and production design for the Lord of the Rings films and probably The Hobbit as well. Unfortunately, this film didn't get a lot of box office attention at the time, and probably because of the material. It's based on a YA novel, and just from the first like the first few 15 minutes I watched of it, the dialogue's kind of clunky, actually pretty clunky in places. Seems a bit one note in terms of the setup. Basically, it's like big guy versus little guy. The little guy has to triumph over the big guy, who's the big guy being represented by in a futuristic world where they've been destroyed by something, some kind of apocalypse, who knows what. I haven't gotten to that point yet, but so London has become this predator city on wheels, and it rolls around Europe, basically taking over smaller cities and towns that also roll on wheels. Basically absorbs their energy, and everyone's in this struggle to survive because resources are limited, but yet somehow they can fuel these giant cities that roll on wheels. I don't know how that works, but so the film has a kind of a steampunky vibe. In a way, it kind of has a little bit of a Miyazaki feel to it, with that steampunk feel. Oops, sorry about that. With that steampunk feel, where it's a bit of the future mixed with the past, and so it looks interesting, but I can kind of tell why it didn't do very well in the box office because not a lot of big names. I mean, Hugo Weaving's in it, but it's probably much better just in terms of how it looks and how the CGI is. And unfortunately, it kind of tarnishes a bit of the reputation of Peter Jackson and his wingnut efforts post, I say King Kong, and probably The Hobbit, because they haven't really done that well, and he hasn't really done anything that's, I don't know, getting even close to that Lord of the Rings feel. Although to be honest, it'd be hard for him to and his collaborators to get anywhere close to that, but it just doesn't seem like they've caught onto that next property that's going to be anywhere in the ballpark of Lord of the Rings. So, but it's still a good film to pick up and watch. I think it's about like $11, $12 now on Amazon. So, if it's in your interest and if it's in your budget, I definitely go out and get it just because of how it looks on 4K with HDR. So, yep, that's that. And also got in Zack Snyder's Dawn of the Dead. This had dropped about $17, $18 on Amazon, and this is the Scream Factory edition. So what it is that it comes with both the theatrical and the unrated version on 2 discs, and I switched around the cover, and it's just a 2-disc set. And haven't watched this yet, but looking forward to. Obviously, I have a lot of movies in, so eventually I'll get through it. And also, don't know why I never picked it up, but Touch of Evil, one of my all-time favorite films, and Touch of Evil is very interesting because of kind of the importance that it has in the world of how should I say it, film discovery and film restoration, um, film resurrection, if you will, because Touch of Evil was the Snyder Cut 60 years before the Snyder Cut. We all know how amazing and influential Orson Welles was as a filmmaker. But what we don't appreciate is how much of a problem he had with the studios in terms of the films that he made, like the Magnificent Ambersons. I know he got a lot of problems with the studio in terms of being able to put out the version that he wanted, and especially Touch of Evil, one of his later films, but really an amazing film. And it was only until after his death that Universal put out the reconstructed version of this film, and it's become obviously the accepted official version, because it's a re-edited version based on Welles's memo to Universal at the time, because they cut the crap out of the film upon its initial release. And apparently there was a kind of a almost close to the reconstructed version, but not quite. That was what was it called, the preview version, that was actually cut together before the theatrical version, but then later on Universal then cut it down to what became at that time the theatrical version. And it says it was rediscovered in 1976. Now, I didn't know about that. I had bought this on DVD, and it was the reconstructed version. And so this film really did a lot for me in terms of getting me into watching older films, black and white films, and discovering film noir. But not just that, but in terms of the idea of that a film could be rediscovered, that it could have come out, maybe not done well, maybe never even really been seen by a lot of people, but was a really amazing film, a very important film, and then later on, decades later, was put back together and then re-released, and now has found new life on home video, on the various physical media. This might be a great film to eventually put out as a 4K. Obviously, no idea if it's ever going to, but at least we have it on Blu-ray. And so, Touch of Evil was 1958. Orson Welles starred and directed in it. He plays a cop on the Mexican border with, I believe it's California. It's not really clear where it is. It's not supposed to be like a real town. But anyway, so he gets involved with a Mexican police official, rather unconvincingly played by Charlton Heston, whom you can imagine is nowhere near close to a Mexican. But somehow he plays a Mexican, and he's just newly married to Janet Leigh, who obviously is amazing looking as Janet Leigh. And there's all sorts of shenanigans. It is probably most famous for its super long beginning take, where you show a bomb being planted on a car, and then the car drives along, and Welles has his cinematographer follow it from the beginning where the guy plants the bomb, gets in the car drives through the city, then you see Charlton Heston and Janet Leigh walking. They've just gotten married, and right as they kiss, the car blows up, and that takes like at least a couple minutes, if not longer. And it's one of the most famous long takes, rightfully so, because of just the complexity of the action, going from close-ups to longer distance, back and forth. I'm sure there was a lot of crane work involved, and yeah, so I don't know if it was, I'm not sure if the cinematographer was Greg Tolan, the same guy who worked on Citizen Kane, but if it was, yeah, it was an amazing job. And so yeah, Touch of Evil, definitely go and get it, just as an example of an amazing piece of film history that thankfully was rediscovered almost about over 20 years ago now. So yeah, and also it was because of Get Shorty that came out in 1996, I think, that got me into this film, and it, along with Pulp Fiction and Quentin Tarantino stuff, really got me into discovering older film works, especially film noir, of the 40s and the 50s. So yeah, definitely good film to get. Also, finally broke down and got Tenet. I've been waiting for the price to drop, and it did drop, but not as much as I wanted to. But if the problem being is that the price isn't budging on Amazon, and so this was so I got this through Amazon, but it was not sold directly from them. It was from a third party, so they were shipping, but even shipping included, it came out to be like I think like $23. So yeah, I'm just starting to watch it now. I'm just at the beginning. So yeah, that's it on the screen. Our unnamed protagonist, played by John David Washington, has just met this Katrina, the wife of the Russian mobster, played by Kenneth Branagh. And yeah, so my I guess my kind of attitude with this film, because knowing how convoluted and confusing it is I'm just gonna enjoy watching. I'm just gonna take it. I'm not gonna try to like think too much on it. I'm not gonna try to try to figure out too much. Just try to soak it in as a Christopher Nolan film first, and then maybe go back and try to figure out what exactly is going on. Maybe another viewing, who knows? Maybe I'll never watch it again. But at least I wanted to get Tenet in, because it's obviously one on my list. It's just that the price wasn't budging, but finally broke down enough to get in and get it. So in terms of other stuff I have Severin's April bundle that just they emailed me. They just shipped out. That is Alejandro Jodorowsky's Santa Sangre on 4K for the first time, and also they have their animal horror trilogy there, Grizzly, Day of the Animals, which I definitely remember watching on TV back in the day. Supposedly the ozone layer dissipates and animals go crazy and start attacking people. I mean, obviously that's not what really happens when the ozone layer dissipates, but it was the 70s. Those all sorts of environmental issues coming around. Ozone layer depletion was a big thing, so that was kind of playing off of that. And also Deep Blood, which apparently is like a shark attack movie in which all of the shark footage is legit real. There's no fake shark. It's all real sharks. So that one sounds like probably the cheesiest of, and admittedly already cheesy, 3 films, but we'll see. Maybe I'll show Day of the Animals to my son. I think that's the only one that's like not R-rated. So yeah, he might get a kick out of that. So yeah. Also, I want to do a couple things real quick. Audition from Arrow, famous Japanese horror film directed by Takashi Miike. And this is a film that is kind of weird because it starts off with a totally different tone, and then it switches gears completely. A middle-aged man and has been widowed for 7 years. His son and his friends both tell him, hey, you should try to get married again. So he's got a friend that they somehow conjure up a fake film audition to essentially interview girls that he can then date and hopefully eventually marry. And then the guy finds one. Turns out she's a complete lunatic, and obviously completely turns the tables on him. And yeah, it's pretty weird. I ended up fast forwarding it through it because it was kind of hard to get into, and it definitely does get weird, real weird at the end. And also, I had started, but stopped, and then finished up watching Phantasm, also from Arrow. Yeah, this film is really good. I mean, yeah, we know. I mean, it's cheesy, it's low budget, but the one thing I really liked about it was that the director Don Coscarelli, he kept things very low key. There was really very little in this film that kind of gave it away as being a low budget film. He didn't go overboard with effects. He didn't try to do like crazy alien effects or anything that would have essentially taken you out of the film. He did a lot with just suspense, with just suspenseful settings, editing, the acting, the music, and kept it very toned down, but still very effective in terms of it being a scary, um, dread, dread-inducing kind of horror. So, yeah. Obviously, if you never watched any other Phantasm film, and I know there's been a ton of them since then, the original is still the one to get. So yeah, I would recommend this. This is actually the Arrow UK, so it's Region B. I think this might be the only one that you can get that's of this transfer. I don't think it was ever released in the US for Region A, but you know, we all have multi-region players now, so pretty much no excuse not to get it as a Region B disc from the UK. So yeah, um, that's it for now, and catch up with you guys later when I get something new in. Thanks.